So you clicked on this video because you just got your DJI Mini 3 Pro, or you've had it for some time now, but you're not sure how to color grade. Well, look no further. In this video, I'm going to break it down for you in some simple, easy steps. Now, if you're wondering why you should listen to me, my name is Dane Visuals and I'm a content creator from Jamaica who's been flying drones for over 6 years. So yeah, I know a thing or two. Alright, so before we jump into color grading, I have some pre-shooting tips for you if you're going to want to get the best footage for your color grading. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to shoot H.265 on your DJI Mini 3 Pro while also shooting at 10-bit. What this is going to do is ensure you get the most dynamic in terms of your colors and to ensure that you have as much data so you can push your color grade as much as possible. Also, I'm going to tell you to turn on your overexposure warning so that you can protect your highlights. The DJI Mini 3 Pro is a great drone, but it has a tendency to clip highlights, so you don't want to have your image too overexposed. Try to keep your highlights in a decent range so that you can keep your image looking absolutely stunning. Once you follow those in the pre-production, you'll be perfectly fine. Also, if you want to get the best out of your DJI Mini 3 Pro, you're going to have to shoot in D-Cinelike. Now you have two options on the DJI Mini 3 Pro. You can either shoot in normal mode or D-Cinelike. If you shoot in normal mode, you're not going to be doing much color correction in post. You can add a little bit of style, but not too much. It's going to be for when you're not trying to really color grade your image. If you're trying to color grade your image, you're going to shoot D-Cinelike, which is going to give you a moderately flat looking image that doesn't have much, contrast and saturation. And then now we're going to take it into post and add our own personal touch of color grading. Now I'm going to jump into the color grading process, but for all those persons who are maybe too lazy to color grade or just want a quick, easy solution, I have a free LUT in the description below, which is going to be a D-Cinelike to Rec 709 LUT. All you have to do is go on the link, which is freelut.danevisuals.com, and just enter your details, and that is all yours for free. It's going to make color grading one click. But for the persons who want to learn it manual, let's begin. All right, great. So now I have Premiere Pro open and I have 3 clips on my timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'd go about individually grading these clips. Let's go ahead and full screen it. So as you can see, this is basically a D-Cinelike image. It is very flat, not much colors going on, not much contrast, just a very dull image. But again, the benefit of this is that once you're shooting D-Cinelike, you can go in and add your color grade. So basically, I'm going to go to Window, Workspaces, and I'm going to go to the Color workspace. Makes it a bit easier for me. And then I'm just going to go ahead and bring up my scopes. I will take off the vector scope because I don't need to see that because there isn't really any skin. So I don't need to monitor that. I'm just using the waveform scope here to just give me an idea. So if you look on the scope, you can see a lot of the information is in the middle. So it doesn't have much going on. So first thing that I typically do is I go ahead and I add some curve adjustments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here on the curve and I'm going to pull it down a bit. As you can see, as I'm pulling it down, yeah, you can see my histogram my waveform is being adjusted. So I'm pulling it down. I'm just adjusting based on sight. Also, then I'm going to go up top and I'm going to click here and I'm going to bring in some highlights. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm just adding in some contrast. This is usually where I like to start. Then I go back up to basic correction and I dial down my shadows a bit. And I also add a little bit more contrast. So as you can see, we're definitely getting somewhere. Let me just turn it off and on. You can see where, actually, let me turn it off and off from here. So you can see a lot of contrast has been added. Still feel like it needs a bit more. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to my curves and play around with it some more. All right, so right here seems pretty good. Now looking on my scopes, you can see where I have a lot more detail getting lost down in the shadows, but that's because it was actually a very dark image. So right now this looks very good to me. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in some saturation. So with that saturation added, you can see our image is definitely coming together nicely. So again, let me just show you like the before and the after, just so you have an idea. So you can see there's a lot more detail and information there. Now, stylistically, I can, feel free to add in more contrast. Something that I like to do is I like to drag my slider all the way to the right and then slowly pull it back down as I see where I like it. So I mean, looking on this, well, let me render it so I can play it for you guys properly. Perfect. So I have my clips rendered now, so I can go ahead and play them smoothly for you. So let me just play it without the color. So this is the clip without the color. Still a very good looking clip, but as you can see, not much going on, not much, interest, pretty flat. Now let's play the same clip with our color adjustments. Look at this. This is absolutely breathtaking. All you have to do is add in that color, that contrast. And another thing that I'm going to touch on is, adding your stylistic grade. But for right now, we're just showing you how to get all those richness back into your shots. Because as beginners, I'm sure you're not ready for the more advanced parts yet. So now we're going to go to our next clip. So this is another flat clip. Again, as you can see, there's a lot of information in the middle. A lot of the details and contrast isn't there, but this is a very bright shot of the beach. But because I shot it flat, you're not seeing all that brightness and all that richness. So, I take the same approach. I go to my curves. I always start by pulling down because I love to see that darkness, that rich darkness, right? Let's see if I'm seeing the changes. Yeah, definitely seeing the changes reflected. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull up on the highlights, add back in some highlights. Now, you're going to see some clipping here, and that is fine, simply because it's white. Some aspects of this had to be lost because there is literal white on the beach. So you're going to see a little bit of clipping. Majority of your image should not be clipped. So you notice now where you're seeing like there's no details. It should be a little bit of clipping because there is actual white on the beach. So pulling down to add some contrast. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and add in some saturation. And just look how majestic this looks, right? Such a beautiful shot. Super beautiful shot, guys. And if you want, like if you don't want it, because it's a little bit dark, I can just bring up the exposure just a little bit. So now it's not as dark as it was before. And again, with some shots, you are going to get clipping simply because it is very bright outside. Especially, you have to gauge it. You will have an idea as to how bright it was, but I know this was a very bright shot. So I'm going to see clipping, especially in the whites. But nonetheless, still a magnificent shot. I'm going to just show the before and after. This is without. This is without. And then now we have with. This is majestic, guys. This is majestic. Absolutely love this one right here. All right, and let's head on over to our third shot. And you already have the idea. We're going to go to our curves. We're going to pull down on our shadows right here. Bring in some highlights. Already seen our contrast pop back in. Now this is a lot more darker than previous, and it's going to be a little bit silhouetted because of the direction that I was facing. So every shot's going to have a different look based on how it was at the actual time. Gonna add in some saturation right now. All right. And it's looking pretty good. Again, for this shot, it does appear a lot darker than the other ones. And that's simply because it was actually a darker shot. It was a different time of day. So you always have to base your shots on how it actually was. Just to keep it from looking too bad, I will just add in a little bit to the exposure. Let's bring down our white balance a little bit. I don't think it was that late. I'm going to bring in some magenta. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and touch on is your stylistic grade. So once you have an idea of how to go ahead and do your regular color grading, then now you can start adding in your stylistic grade. So the main point of this video was to get you guys used to just basically doing your regular adjustments, adding in your contrast, your saturation, just getting your thing on that regular level, that Rec 709 level, which is what we're normally used to seeing. But if you want to add in your stylistic grade, what you can actually go ahead and do now is add an adjustment layer on top of your clip. And then now I already have an LUT applied, but pretty much you just go onto the creative section under your lumetri color, go to browse. I have a wide range of LUTs that I use. So let's say I'm using this LUT right here. So let me just increase the intensity so you can see exactly what it's doing to the clip. One sec. One sec. Oh, my bad. Okay, that's not very pretty, guys. All right. Okay, great. So as you can see, this is turned up all the way. I'm just going to turn it down. But in an exaggerated way, what it's basically doing is it's adding blue into the highlights and orange into the midtones, and also adding blue into the shadows as well. So when you turn it down, it basically gives you that natural orange and teal look. So this is with the LUT off, and this is with the LUT on. So as you can see, it just gives it a little extra added style. And you can also do this manually as well. I personally just use LUTs because it makes my workflow a lot easier. But yeah, it pretty much gives you a different kind of look. This is the same LUT applied to this clip. So as you can see, adding more contrast. And if you want, you can also just decrease the contrast on the clip so that it's not necessarily going to make it more contrast. It will just add that color adjustment. So stylistic grading is usually what you do after you've done your initial grading. So that is something that you can also look into. But the main purpose of this video is to get you guys into doing your standard color grading, which is going to give you the most dynamic range in your clips. Also, if you enjoyed this video, the YouTube algorithm says you're going to love this video right here.